talking again to a local DNR area for the Hayward area fisheries biologist, Max Walter. And Max, when it comes to one of your jobs is a management, kind of establish a management plan. And, kind of sometimes I've had people say, well, DNR is going to do what they want to do anyhow. No, there's a lot more to it than that.
There is, yeah. And so we are in the process of developing fisheries management plans for especially our larger water bodies. We got a lot of water up here, but the ones that are big, that have a lot of fishing interest and a lot of people coming to them, we want to have a plan in place that gives us some direction on how we're going to manage that fishery. What species are we going to prioritize? Are we going to make it somewhere where it's an action fishery or a trophy fishery for a certain species? Do we want to have a lot of harvest opportunity, or is this going to be managed more for catch and release? Those are all questions that we need answered for all these lakes, and it's not something that myself as the fish biologist just sitting at my desk should decide, right? It should be the anglers that are giving us direction on that. So back when he was here, Dave Newswanger actually developed a process for that. We tried to get as many people as possible to come to a meeting to talk to us about the lake and basically to answer those questions for us. What species do you care about? Do you like harvesting, or do you like catch and release for smallmouth? Or do you like harvesting or catch and release for walleye? And then we take all that and we build it into a management plan so we don't have to make those types of decisions.
Wow. And that's one of the reasons why all these meetings you have, like the winter meeting and the lake associations and this stuff.
Right, yeah. And, nobody likes meetings. Aren't fun. It's
no,
not like
really, but sometimes they are. But
well, fishing ones at least are fairly interesting. Fishing something people
if you're
like.
A fish head.
Yeah, right. People at least like talking about fishing. It's better than going to like a DOT meeting or something.
Right.
Not to slam those people, but fishing's at least fun. So we have these meetings and we encourage people to show up and make their voice heard because it does count. It does matter. We have fishery management plans in place now for LCO, Chippewa Flowage, and Nelson Lake. We're in the kind of the final stages on Grindstone and Round Lake, and Moose Lake is next up. I'm kind of polishing that one up right now, and we want to get all these big water bodies with a plan so that, again, it's not me when an issue comes up. I'm not just spinning my wheels trying to decide, okay, well, should we do this? Should we do that? This would be good for the walleye. This would be good for the smallmouth. I have a plan in place that kind of gives me some direction.
And that's for all the different species in that lake. And that includes bag limits and what you guys are going to do as far as stocking and that stuff.
Well, yeah. So really what it does is it establishes a goal. So the goal is, we're going to really prioritize walleye in this lake. And we're going to try and, have a harvest-oriented walleye fishery where people can take a lot of fish home. That's a goal, And then we'll use different tools to get there. And maybe it's stocking, maybe it's regulations, or a combination of them. So really, what we want is to get away from kind of the squeaky wheel type thing where I'm not just reacting to the one person that keeps calling my phone. We actually kind of know what the larger fishing community wants, and we're trying to act in the majority interest, which is a challenge. Because you do get those squeaky wheels, and they want their way. But if we can have a plan that takes into account a larger public opinion, we're going to make a lot more people happy.
Well, also, too, when you're talking that, too, though, that I think wouldn't it be beneficial for the people out there that in an area on one particular lake to do some homework and research and maybe ask some questions as to what would be a good idea in that lake other than hey, I want this, rather than regardless of whether it's going to work or not, get something together that's going to actually work.
Yeah, definitely. And also know the history of, what's been tried in the past. And as a young biologist coming in, that was important for me. It was going through the files and saying, okay, this was tried in 1974 and it didn't work. So, let's not go and make the same mistake again. But when you're talking about individuals, reading up on what's going on that lake, finding out what's been tried in the past, and just having an understanding of what the lake's capable of. And it's kind of an extreme example, but it's one I use from time to time. If we had somebody move here from South Carolina that loved striped bass fishing, they might want to say, well, let's put some striped bass in Round Lake. Wouldn't that be great? I love striped bass fishing. Well, it's kind of understanding the limitations there and kind of the biological sideboards, really, about what we can do with our resources here. That's part of it.
Well, you already probably have a lot of good data from you've been doing a lot of lake studies and surveys, so you got a lot of data as far as how these fish are reacting to bag limits and stuff.
Yeah, we do, and our data goes way back. In a lot of cases, I have data from the 1940s about what Moose Lake looked like, and it's interesting to see what it was then, what it is now, and that also gives us some feel for what it could be again, right?
Yeah.
So kind of gives us some direction on, okay, it did this once. If we have the right conditions, we think it could do it again, whether it's crappie size or the number of walleye out there. So that history it's important.
Well,
And it's interesting.
People can pay attention to what the DNR is doing, but they can also join clubs like Walleye for Northwest Wisconsin, try to get an idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Join those clubs. Those are good, especially if you're interested in one species. Obviously, if you're on a lake, joining your lake association, and lake associations work with us a lot too on different projects. We have some really great lake associations in the area, and they're, one I highlight all the time is the Nelson Lake Association. They're very forward-thinking, outside of the box type guys, and they work really hard to do some habitat projects and make it easy for us. We partner with them, but they're doing a lot of the work. So that's a great opportunity for people. And if you want to read the management plans, there's a lot of great information and history in there. You can find those on the DNR website if you search Upper Chippewa Basin Fishery Management Plans.
Very interesting stuff, Max. Again, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing this good information with all of our listeners out there.
Thanks for having me, John.
And folks, if you enjoy our interviews with Max here, again, subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we're going to try to get him on here as much as we can get him. Usually he's out there on a lake someplace, but we can get him together sometimes.
I'm living in the north 'cause that's where I wanna be. The fish and wildlife they abound, living in the north country. The woods and water, lakes and streams, we've got 'em all around. And people come from far and near to share what we have found in our Wisconsin outdoors. Breathe in that clean fresh air, hear a partridge drumming on a log, see a fish jump or a bear, spot a white-tailed buck or a flock of ducks as they wing across the sky. And this land that we call paradise will show you the reasons why in our Wisconsin outdoors. Living in the Badger State, way up in the Northland where the recreation's great. So sit back, relax, kick off your shoes, sink in your easy chair. Come on along, listen with me, I'm gonna take you there to our Wisconsin outdoors, our Wisconsin outdoors.